It's lovely to see you, and it's great to be going kind of into the split with five big games to look forward to. It's just annoying, I think, that you go on the back of two defeats where you've dominated games and come away with nothing.
Yeah, James, I think that's our whole season in a nutshell. I think at the start of the year we were flying, we were top of the league, and we won the county antrim with the first trophy and stuff, and everybody was saying we were league contenders and all after 10 games. But as you've seen, this league's madness, and every game's a tough game. Even the last two games where I thought we've done really, really well, and you've come out with nothing. It's just a head scratcher at times, and I think we're us sometimes, even though we're playing well and we're doing the right things, we're creating chances, we're doing everything, we're just coming away with no points. And I think, I'm sure Tiernan's head is mangled as well, because you're coming into training the next day and he's showing you that you have chances, you've putting the balls in the back, you're just doing everything right apart from getting the points, and it is mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about kind of kilometers covered. He talks about box entries, all those things. They're really high again,
Yeah.
and yet your mistakes are punished too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When every Monday you go in, you're sort of talking about, because Tiernan he's like the stat man. He has all the stats, and so if you're not running, you're not doing this, you're not putting balls in the box, he's able to tell you. But there's weeks he's coming in on a Monday, and he's just looking at us and going, I don't know what else to say, because you're doing everything right, you're playing the right way, you're creating the chances. There's teams like we've played, I think it was Portadown, they had 3 chances on goal, and we had 16 or 17 where we've hit the post, cleared off the lane, keeper got man of a match, and it was just wave after wave of attack. And not only did they were going to get a point, they broke away and scored in the very last second, while their manager's cracking up that there's 5 minutes added on time, because he thought there was only one team in it. There was going to be one winner, and they end up breaking away and scoring. But to be honest, that's just our whole season, and it is a head scratcher at times. But like you said, there's 5 games to go, 5 massive games, and then there's the Irish Cup, and then into the Europa League. So it's massive, massive games. We just have to keep going and working on the training pitch, and hopefully we do well.
Talking as a fan and someone who watches all the games, the most frustrating thing for me is that you don't want to score a scruffy goal.
That's us, and that's, you hear fans going, Larne never win like ugly. The thing is, it's hard to win ugly when you're trying to play the right way every time. And to be fair, when we're winning games and we're on top, it looks brilliant. But then on the flip side, and I can see why fans do go mad and be like, why don't we just put it into the bad way? But to be honest, we haven't got the players to do it. I think with 3 midgets up front, whether it's me, Ronan Davey, or Lee Lynch, or Conor McKenzie, whatever it is, we're all sort of small fellas. And if we're going to start putting balls into the box and stuff, it's just going to come back at us. So at the minute, I think that's why when we are winning, it looks fantastic. And then sometimes if we're struggling, it doesn't look great.
Yeah, and I think you'd probably say yourself, just the conversion rate of chances, you've just got to improve going into these 5 games, because you create the opportunities. It's just tucking them away and kind of easing the pressure on yourselves.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Portadown game and even the Glentoran game, you see where they were hitting the post, it's cleared off the lane, the keepers are getting man of a match. And we are creating the chances, which I always, after the games and stuff, I'm always one of them ones it'll do my head in if we don't win or stuff like that. But if you're doing the right things and doing everything, you just have to say to yourself, listen, keep going, because next week it'll do. The only thing is, this has been happening for 10 weeks now. And it's the same things happening over and over and over. And it is frustrating. And obviously some of the players, but for us, we just can't get downbeat about it, because we are doing the right things. We are working hard at training ground. It is coming off the matches. The only thing is, like you says, we're just not finishing them at times. But with the likes of Ronan Hale or David McDade, who is great finishers, sometimes the ball just doesn't go in the back of the net. It happens like that. Hopefully now that there's big games coming up and the boys just do put their chances away.
Does that suit you, playing the bigger teams? And I'm not saying you take the smaller ones for granted, but you get to play your football against the bigger teams, don't you?
Yeah, because when you have the big games, you're up for it more. It's better atmosphere. You're better hunger in your belly to go into them games like that there. And now we know there's 5 games left against the top teams, plus the Irish Cup and then the Europa League qualifiers. Every game's a big game and a massive game. And it's not one of them ones you have to win every game. But for us, every game's like that anyway. So to be fair, so get into games like this now, I think everybody's going to be ready for it.
And the other thing about it is, I think some of the goals that you conceded that you'd be critical about, you'd never have conceded if there'd been fans at Inver Park or fans in the ground.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the lads the other week about this. I'm not saying it was just because of the fans, but we were top of the league. But the first sort of 10 to 12 games in the County Antrim, there was fans in it. We were playing brilliant football. We were doing everything was brilliant. I'm sure this is for every team. Then we went to the County Antrim final, and there was no fans. We went up for a penalty. It was dead eerie. It was dead weird, and there's no atmosphere at all. And I don't know whether that's just with us because we play football, whether some of our players are, there's no atmosphere where there's no, do you know what I mean? You don't have that there, like if people cheering you on. So it is dead easy. It was like a friendly game. And I think it took us a wee while to get going to that there, to get used to that there. And I'm sure other teams were the same. But I just think with the no fans, and I know it's not like the Premier League where there's 60 and 70,000 fans, we probably only have about 2,000, but it does make a massive, massive difference when there's fans in there.
You've got to do it the hard way in terms of the split, because you've got your first 3 games away from home, and the first 2 of those against former teams that you played for.
Yeah, that's good as well. Obviously, you've Cruise away and then Cliftonville away as well, which I think probably at the minute it's two of probably the hardest away games. Crusaders is a small, sort of narrow pitch, and they're a really, really tough team. And Cliftonville's pitch is just, that's the worst pitch in the league. I don't know. They've been getting that done for the last 10 years. So the difference in their 4G and our 4G is night and day. But as their players and that, they've great players, and from both the top 5 teams, it's touch and go with everybody. You see how close the league is. Everybody's on top of each other. And it's just one of them, like you says, if we take our chances, we have a chance of winning the game. But if you don't take your chances, and they do, there's only going to be one winner.
I said to Fudzer, going for Crusaders, he's just not got to fall in the traps now. Having got that red card, you were watching the game because you were out. I think he was annoyed that he fell into the trap, wasn't he?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It's not like him. Obviously he's playing against. I think it was against Daki Gadale, and Daki Gadale is one of them players who will get into him and mess him about and stuff like that. There, Fudger normally doesn't bait for stuff like that. And I can remember watching it, and I just went, Did he do that? It looked like a sort of a hit, but it was a nothing headbutt. I think it's because Fudger's smaller than me. I think it would have been a headbutt because Daki's taller. I think he headbutted him in the chest. But
I said he needed a ladder.
Exactly. I mean, Fudger. That's the only person I'm bigger than the whole league, I think, is Fudger. Because he's big muscle man, you don't notice it. But it's not like him, and obviously that killed us as well for 7 games out. He's a massive part of the way we play and what we do. And stuff like that there, obviously you can't do it. He knows he was wrong, but having him out for 7 games wasn't great.
And it didn't help with yourself being out for 4 or 5 games with the broken hand either. That must have been really frustrating.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. Obviously, it was just a soften of nothing. I was running. Well, the thing is, I told Tiernan, I don't like to track back. Tiernan knows that as well. At times he tries to give me G for it. And I was sprinting back, and I had just happened to slip and just put my hand in. I felt something right away. Now, I'm not sure as if I broke it there and then because it just came out in a big lump. But I remember about 5 minutes after, I was standing, I was holding my hand, and I said to big Johnny McMurray, I says, I think there's something wrong with my hand here. And he says, let's see it. And I put my hand in, he just squeezed my hand. I was like, Johnny, what are you doing? And he's like, you're all right, you're all right. And I phoned Johnny the next day and said, Johnny, my hand's broke. He was laughing, he was apologising. And I was like, what's the chance? Me, Johnny, you could have broke that.
But Tiernan talks about your discipline. He says that you check everything you eat. You're in the gym with Fuds, although you wouldn't perhaps know it like.
Yeah. Felt like a fag. That's what it is.
But he says you take it really seriously.
Yeah, I have to. That's what I'm saying. When I was leaving Cliftonville, obviously I was in and out of the team at Diamonds, and I just went to myself, listen, I have to give myself the best opportunity. I was getting a bit older. I'm 32 now, so you're doing full-time training. It's not like part-time training where you can go in and do a wee bit here and a bit there. Our training is really intense. So I knew I had to work on my food, my sleep, everything. But the only thing is, that's why they call me, the nickname now is Broccoli Donnelly. Anytime we're on the way home in the car school, I do their heads in about their eating, about this and that. So anytime the lads just switch off for me. I think I bore them to death with it.
How would you sum up your form this season? Because I think you're playing consistently better than you probably ever played for Larne.
Yeah, I think I'm doing well. Obviously, the month off didn't help, but I think it helped in a way. It didn't help, obviously, because I had to come back and had to try and get back in it. But because now, at a month off, basically, obviously I was still training, but with the grueling games and that coming up, so I think it's helped me coming back because I've come back and done rightly as well. But this season. Obviously, for us, it's been hit and miss and stuff like that. But I think my form's been okay. I've been able to stay in the team and stuff. But I'm just hoping now it continues to do that in the last few games. Either a few goals or assists to help us win a few games.
And in terms of the goals, which one's your favourite so far? Under the wall or the chip?
I liked under the wall one. That was my first game back with my hand and stuff. So I didn't know whether I was ready yet. I went to the hospital and they were like, "Listen, it's up to you whether you wanna play or not because it's still not great." And I think we were on a run of a couple of games. We hadn't won or nothing, so it just says, "Listen, I'll go back in." Tiernan played me I think it was the last 10 minutes or something, and I remember getting the free kick, and I scored against them the week. That's when I get injured, so it was a month before that. So when I came back, and I knew that they were going to jump high, and I just said, I was talking to Dean Jarvis when I was starting there, and he says, "Try under the wall, try under it," and I went, "If they don't jump here, it's going to look horrible." So I just tried it, and then once they jumped, it worked perfect. So I was buzzing with that.
But that's the debate, though, isn't it? As you say, if they don't jump, suddenly you look stupid, don't you?
That's what I'm saying. Because when Jarvis said it to me, Clay says, "I think because it was very close." He says, "I think they're going to jump," and I looked at him and I said, "If I hit this, Nate, don't jump here. It's going to look stupid. It's going to look bad." But I don't think Big Roy Carroll was ready for it. So when I just hit it under the wall, it was perfect in the net.
You talked about leaving Cliftonville. I mean, clearly your link there is because you support them. But how would you sum up your link and your time at Larne? Because you look happier and more settled than and people say you are. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It's been amazing. Obviously, when I was leaving Cliftonville, I still had another, I think it was a year and a half left at Cliftonville. I was in and out with the manager at the time, and when I spoke to Kenny, I went down and spoke to Kenny and Tiernan. I knew Tiernan. I didn't know Kenny. And Kenny was talking all this stuff that was going to happen. And I was like, "Who is this fella?" I didn't know who he was. And I've never heard of him. I never heard of Purple Bricks at the time. And he was saying what way he wanted the club to go and what wanted this to go. And I was sitting there, I was going like, I don't know. But it's too good of an opportunity to pass up. And everything that they've done and everything that they've said, it's been even above and beyond. They're taking us away for pre-season trips. We're going away at the end of season trips. We're getting our food made for us, full-time football. But not only that, the town as well has been brilliant. The fans have been amazing. Just as soon as I went into the club, it just felt right. It was it was weird. And even like my family and that says, as soon as I went there, within a month or two, it's the happiest I've probably been at playing football. Even though I was at Clifton when I won league titles and stuff, and it was amazing. And I've a lot of friends up there, and I still do. But it was just, I thought I just needed, at the time, it was a big change for me, and I needed the sort of change to do it. And it's been the best move I made.
I mean, it is an incredible place, and I think the other thing that strikes me is that other teams are looking at you differently now. It's not little Larne. You're actually a threat. They're changing the way they play because they know how you play.
That's the way it is, and that's what we have to deal with. Teams are up in their game against us. Whether you can watch two of the lesser teams, say like they're on TV, and you go like, well, they're a good side, but I fancy yourselves. But then once they come to play us, they change their whole shape, they change their tactics, they change everything. So it's hard to even go into games to see what teams are going to do if you watch them on other games. Because with us, it seems to be, I think teams are looking at us as if we're like a Linfield, like Glentoran, a Clifton. And that's what them teams had to deal with for over the years. And with us, I think at the start of this year, we were a bit naive in that way and thinking, it's okay, we'll be okay and this and that. But I think now we need to know that teams are going to up their game against us. So every week, we're going to have to be on it and have to do the business to win.
I've said to Tina on numerous occasions, you see the big teams celebrate when they beat you, the likes of Linfield and Glentoran, and it's almost a compliment. I know you hate it because you've not won the game, you've not got a point, but they celebrate like it's a cup final.
Yeah, and that's every team. It was even Portadown last week. I thought we were on top against them as the whole game, and they broke away and done us twice on the break. But that's just the way it is, and that's for us. That shows you the strides that we have come for Larne. We were in, when I joined Larne, they were at the bottom of the league in the championship. And within 3.5 years, after 10 games, we were title challengers. But then 10 games later, we're around about mid-table again. So we're floating about. But I think we're going on the right direction. And I just think whether it's a couple of players, whether it's tweaking here, tweaking there, I think we have a good chance. And obviously, there's still games to go now to see if we can get into Europe. There's cups. And sky's the limit for us, I think, because with Kenny behind us and Tiernan behind us and the players that we have and the coaching staff, I think the only way's up for Larne.
Were the people that you proved wrong when you left Cliftonville? Because I imagine when you talked about it there, Larne bottom of the championship, you're giving up a lot. for a risk.
Yeah,
Were there a lot of
yeah.
people telling you you're mad?
At the time when I was leaving Cliftonville, because I was in and out of the team, I think at the time Cliftonville fans were sort of not happy that I was leaving. But I think because I wasn't in the team, and you're looking at a player and they're not in the team, I think they were looking and going, maybe he's done now. But the only thing is, I was only 28. I was only coming into my prime, and I knew that. But sometimes it doesn't work with a manager. Obviously, Barry Gray came in, and I knew before he signed that his style of play wasn't going to suit me. But when he was talking to me, he says, "No, listen, you're going to play and blah blah blah." And obviously, I have a lot of respect for Barry, and he made me captain about 3 or 4 times in the 3 months that I was playing. But it's just one of them things, whether you're in someone's plans or you're not, and it's you're not going to fall out with anybody. And obviously, I shook Barry's hand, says, "Listen, I think it's time for me to move on." I think he agreed. And obviously, with the fans, I think I've done so well from about 6 or 7 years. I think they were sort of happy. And then now that I've been doing well, you hear the fans saying, "Why did he let you go? And why are you away for no one of them ones?" But I just think it was just a good move for me at the time. And it was one of them ones, even though I was good at leaving Cliftonville, I think it was the best decision for me. And I think it's worked really well.
And the funny thing, you mentioned the fans there. I sometimes think that we as fans think we care kind of more than the players. But I imagine you're going to these 5 games utterly determined to do it, don't you? I mean, you all care that maybe so far it's not the season that you hoped it would be, bearing in mind
Yeah.
how good you can be.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive. Obviously, the fans and obviously love the club and they want us to do really well. I mean, you're not winning; they're going to be on you and on you. With us, it's the same thing. See, especially now that you're full time. When I first joined Larne, I was working on a wee driving job and stuff. So you're away for 10 hours a day. You're doing different things. Your head's off it. I see now that you're full time. You're in there nearly every day doing your work for so many hours. You're coming home. You're getting sent videos of teams. You're looking at the opposition. So everything's just focusing on football. And with you're not allowed to go out. You're not doing nothing. You can't go out for coffee. You can't golf or whatever you normally do to take your mind off it. You can't do it. So at the minute, it's just everything's just focusing on football. So like you says, if you are losing or it's not not having a great run, it's tough at home because you're not doing anything else. You can't take your mind off it. You're just either sitting at home or you're training, and that's all it is. But I'm just hoping the last 5 games or how many games we'll have left, we'll just do the business, because it's either going to be a bad season for us or it still can be a great season. Because if we finish really high in the league, the league's gone for Linfield. I think they're going to win it. We're not going to catch them. But for us, either you can win an Irish Cup and you get into Europe and stuff, I think it'll be a very good season for us.
I was going to say, we'll just finish off. We started talking, and you just done your COVID test, and
Yeah.
I assume that players get used to it, but you don't, do you? Even though you're doing it.
No, it's a nightmare. Every Thursday I dread it. Like I said to you before, I sit and have my coffee for an hour and sit and look at it. Hate doing it when you have to do it. It's not a great feeling. But the only thing is, like I said to you, you could lie on it and put the wee thing in 3 different places and say, because you have to send it in every week, a photo of it. But you'll be scared just in case you have it, in case you try and give it to other people. So it's just one of them things at the minute. If it keeps us to keep playing football, and it's the little thing we have to do, then I'm prepared to do it.
But as I say, you'd assume that shoving up your nose you'd get used to it, but you never get used to that, do you?
No, never will. That's why I can't wait till it's all over and done with, and then you'll have to do it no more. How long may that be? But no, it's a nightmare.
I want to round off by just asking about Thomas and your relationship with him. You listen to Joel, you listen to John on the commentary at the weekends, on the streams, eggs and bacon, yeah. Call it what you like. Exactly. The two of you just seem properly linked.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Obviously, me and him were Cliftonville together, and we sort of played the same way as well. And I always slag him that when I left Larne, I said he couldn't wait to get back down to me. He was nothing without me. I said, but for him, I think he's the best right back in the league. He's a brilliant fella. Obviously, every morning he's down here before we travel into football together. He's down and messing about with my daughter and stuff. So we're really, really close friends. I talk him up on the phone to him every day. And on the training pitch, it's just people say, like, we've done this. It just works. It's just one of them things. I know what he wants on the pitch. He knows what I want. And it's just one of them things that just clicks. There's some players you do that with. And when people say, who's the best player you've played with? I've played with the likes of Liam Boyce and Joe Gormley, and they're top class. I said, but Tomas makes me so much better. And to see him come through since he was a kid. There was a photo up yesterday when he played for Cliftonville, and he was like an absolute twig. It was so funny. I sent it to him, the two of us were laughing. And now he's grown in, obviously, with a full-time football. I think it's even helped him. And to be honest, if I think he had had the full-time football a couple of years ago, he could have been playing over in England. He's
Uh,
that good.
He's got a goal in him as well, which is proved. And I guess the debate is there whether he shoots again or whether he passes to you. That's probably what's in his mind, isn't it?
I tell him all the time. Anytime he plays, I say to him before the game because he always gets into great positions. But he's that selfless. He'll always try and pass the ball out, like he says to me or one of the strikers. And there's many times I've had to clip matches off for any of the highlights. I'm showing him, going, look at this one, because he always just looks for that. Instead, he's right in front of the goal, and he'll want to pass the ball to lay someone on. And I think him setting up goals is like a striker scoring a goal. He just has it in his head that he wants to set people up. But he's just a lovely, lovely fella on and off the pitch, and I just think I think he's brilliant.
I was pulling my hair out on Friday night because I don't think he got the credit that he deserved for that goal against Glentoran. That's not an easy finish, especially not for a fullback.
It was unbelievable finish. I was slagging him during the celebration. I said I hit off his shin. He was laughing, but there you go. And he's scoring from like 25 yards out for a volley, like a side-on volley. And he has that in his locker. He's one of them players, he can do everything. But because he's so savage, he'll normally take a touch, try and pass to me, and try and do this. And that's sometimes he does. But if he does stuff like that there every week, you'll be loving it.
Last question. I'm told the two of you are the guys to listen to and the guys who make the dressing room tick. Who are the other guys with the banter? Who's good? Who keeps it going? Who's
There's a few boys in the group. Obviously, there's a few quiet ones who don't like to do podcasts and letting on, like a Mark Randall or a Connor Mitchell, even Connor Devlin and stuff. They're letting on as if they're quiet and they don't like interviews. But in the training ground or in the locker room, they're absolutely brilliant. You have a gig with them. But there's a lot in our team. Our changing room's really, really good. You have a bit of everything in it. There's a lot of funny fellas in it. And see, to be fair, see when you're part-time, you're only seeing the lads now and again. While see when you're full-time, you're in having breakfast with them. You're having lunch. You're there all day. You're with them 6 days a week. You're seeing them sometimes more than your family. And but I think that's a bond that we have, and it's very, very good. So you build up relationships with players, and with the full time, I think you end up with more friendships than you would with the part-time players.
And the manager's banter game's not bad either, is it?
Who's Tiernan's?
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. No, horrible. Tiernan's horrible. I do his head in every day, but no, Tiernan's a good lad. He tries to join in and stuff like that. But we would slag him like there was this thing one day where we come in, he wants everybody to eat healthy, and he seen a bowl of Cocoa Pops there. He went off his nut. So the boys sent him a parcel for his birthday, a big thing of Cocoa Pops. He's like, who sent me these? So some of the lads will be good with messing about with the coaches and with the banter and stuff. So it's a close-knit group we have, and it's very good.
Now just want to do the job, don't you?
That's it. Now we'll have just last 5 games, 7, 8 games, whatever it is. We'll just have to do the business for us, the fans, and obviously the staff and like Kenny and stuff. They've put their trust in us, so now we're going to have to repay them.